There were 20,000 people murdered in Colombia last year alone, most of them drug-related, it is thought. There are 60 murders a day. Every 15 days, a judge is murdered. This is Colombian society because of the drug lords. We went down to Colombia this week to see what we could discover about it, and this is what we found. On Sunday, they buried the man who might have been Colombia's next president, Senator Carlos Luis Galán. 100,000 people turned out in Bogotá to mourn him and to mourn their country, which is now gripped by such violence. Today, the drug lords struck again, bombing political headquarters in the city of Medellin, home of the most dangerous of Colombia's drug cartels. And they issued a communique declaring it is now total war in this latest round of violence that began last week. A week ago yesterday, Judge Carlos Valencia, driving through the streets of Bogotá with his bodyguards, was machine-gunned to death. On Friday morning in the city of Medellin, State Police Chief Colonel Vladimir Franklin Quintero and his driver were machine-gunned to death. Then Friday night, Senator Galán arrived at an outdoor rally to deliver a political speech. He never got to do it. This is the spot where Senator Galán was murdered, in the town square of the Bogotá suburb of Soacha. The flowers there marked the place where he was standing when the bullets cut him down. It was a brutal murder, but there have been brutal murders before. And a crackdown is on just now against the drug dealers, but there have been crackdowns before and nothing has come of them. So this time, will anything be different?
Well, I hope that. I'm not sure that it's going to be different, but I hope that.
Luis Gabriel Cano is wary, and well he might be. As publisher of Bogotá's anti-drug crusading newspaper El Espectador, he knows all too well the power of the drug lords. On December 17th, 1986, his brother, editor-in-chief Guillermo Cano, walked out the front door to go home.
He took the car and go around and goes out that door, then take the road until that corner, and in that corner he turned to the left. And he was killed just in that place.
Machine gun?
Machine gun, yes.
Government machine guns have fought back. Troops and police have worried the drug lords from time to time, but it never lasted. But this time, Colombian President Virgilio Barco went on TV to promise a sustained assault. The drug lords' assets were seized over the weekend. Helicopters and airplanes and homes. 5 suspects in Senator Galán's murder were arrested. Eduardo Martinez, suspected of being one of the cartel's principal money launderers, was arrested. And perhaps in the strongest action of all, the law allowing speedy extradition of the 12 most wanted drug lord suspects for trial in the United States was reinstated. And government officials vowed to fight. Monica de Graef is the justice minister. She is 32 years old. It is said no one else, out of fear, would take the job. She is guarded 24 hours a day. She's promising the country's judges better protection, perversely proud that the judges are indeed at risk.
They're killing judges because judges are judging them.
But aren't you afraid?
Everybody's afraid. The problem is how to cope with this fear you have and to stay fighting.
Do you really think that they can get to you here in the Ministry of Justice?
I think they can get anywhere.
And just who are these so-called drug lords who have terrorized Bogotá and Colombia for the better part of 10 years, who have murdered with impunity? Well, it turns out they started life as small-time hoods, car thieves, muggers, highway robbers, going nowhere. And then they discovered cocaine. These are the suspected ringleaders. Pablo Escobar. They call him El Padrino, the Godfather, chief among equals. Jose Gacha, known as the Mexican. He's allegedly the enforcer. Jorge Luis Ochoa, called El Gordo, the fat man, allegedly in charge of distribution. They distill the cocaine in jungle laboratories and rule by fear. This week, even releasing a videotape showing how foreign mercenaries train their own men in the latest terrorist techniques. These are men of great wealth. Their homes seized this weekend sport gold faucets. Their estates include private zoos of exotic animals. Forbes magazine says these suspected drug lords are among the world's billionaires. The director of the National Police, General Miguel Gomez, is convinced his force, the Army, and the secret police working together can bring the drug lords low.
y tarde o temprano será.
Sooner or later, these people will be behind bars, he says. But some influential politicians believe force may not work.
We have only 3 months, no more than 3 months, to stop the traffickers. If we can, we must find another way.
Ernesto Samper has taken the slain Senator Galan's place as a leading Liberal Party presidential candidate. Seriously wounded himself by machine gun fire 3 months ago, he says that other way could be to negotiate.
We must find another ways.
And that's negotiation.
Is one of the ways.
Negotiation sounds cowardly, but before U.S. citizens criticize, there is something else to consider. What has happened to the image of Colombia in the United States? 20 years ago, the image of Colombia was Juan Valdez with coffee. Today, it's Pablo Escobar with drugs and murder.
Yes, that is true. But you are, I think, you are blamed for that also in the United States, because you have the market there. You are the ones that are buying the things from us.
We're to blame?
I think, yes.
At this point, perhaps it's not a question of blame, but of lives in the United States and in Colombia, where the caskets are always full. And the murder of Senator Galan will either mark a turning point in the war against the drug lords or just another casualty soon forgotten. Joining us live now from Bogota, from the presidential palace, is President Virgilio Barco. Thank you for letting us talk to you tonight, President Barco.
Good evening, Sam. Good evening, Diane.
Well, the drug lords have declared war now in Colombia, and today there were more bombings. What is your assessment of how this war is going to go?
Well, today we arrested another 3 drug leaders who will be extradited. We also will continue to confiscate the property to break their organizations. Expressions of support from around the world continue to be received by the government. The cartel has burned near Medellin some houses. We face, of course, the prospect of more bloodshed.
Mr. President, do you have the names, sir, of those leaders?
The Colombian people are united in the war against narco-traffickers.
Do you have the names, sir, of those 3 people that you arrested today?
No, I do not have. It is in the hands of the secret police.
But they were not Escobar or Ochoa or Gacha.
No.
Where are those men? Do you know?
Unfortunately not.
Do you know where those men are? Have they left the country?
No, they, for many years, have constructed their defense regulations. They are very powerful, as you know. They have tremendous protection, which they have. They have really armies to keep them very well. So they are very difficult to
control.
meet.
Mr. President, do you think U.S. troops would be helpful in Colombia?
Well, I don't believe we are ready to help. We have our own equipment. We need, of course, we need more equipment that could be provided to us. Colombia is the most effective place to stop the supply of cocaine. More than 80% of the cocaine seized globally is seized here in Colombia.
Mr. President, may I break in and ask you whether you agree with the newspaper publisher, Cano, that we heard a moment ago, that the United States bears some blame because in this country we use your cocaine?
Yes, of course. There is a very large consumption there. But you are talking about the way to stop it. Last year, the United States only provided us about 15 million assistance.
You want more money?
No, I spoke to President Bush Monday night. He offered equipment, training, another assistance that we will welcome gratefully.
Mr. President,
But
may I ask you a
but-
final question, sir?
Excuse me, but
Yes,
I
sir.
mentioned to him that we cannot accept troops. President Bush understands that. This has been our policy over decades, and we need all
right.
your help except troops.
Thank you very much, President Barco, for coming in tonight and letting us talk to you about this problem in Colombia. Thank you. And we'll be back with more on this broadcast in a moment.